was young, I've always had this insatiable curiosity about life, and I've always felt that I've just got to get there. I felt like I was always chasing these destinations of some kind. And I'll cut a very long story short, but I went on something called the Hoffman Process, which is where you spend 8 days with 28 strangers with no contact with the outside world. I mean, like, you share rooms with them, there's no watch, no clocks, no phone calls or anything. And I came to learn that all of our destinations are so totally different. And growing up, I thought we all wanted the same things. I thought we were all heading towards the same place. And sitting in that room made me realise that all of our destinations are so unique, and they are created out of our pain, our past, our traumas, our purpose, and our little bit of magic. And when I left there, I was even more curious. I wanted to know, like, where was everyone going? What information could they leave behind? And what was making them go to that destination? Because we live in a day and age where we judge people for their actions, but I think sometimes we need to understand what's happened to people so that we can understand the driving forces for them to pick their destination. So I wanted to create a space where I could talk to people. You know, I wanted real stories, diverse voices, honest opinions. And as the show's grown and evolved, I've become even more curious about the extreme people. So for me, I've always wanted to hear the left to the right and everything in between. And I want to understand, like, what has happened to someone to shape their decision to pick their destination, if you know what I mean. I wanted to talk about the things that really mattered. You know, I wanted to tackle the topics that others were too afraid to discuss. Like, so many people told me not to interview Kate Hopkins, not to interview Tommy Robinson, not to do this, because all of a sudden, apparently, that means I align with their views. And we just live in a world where it's absolutely batshit crazy. And at first I was like, oh, okay, maybe I won't talk to them because I don't want to upset anyone. And now I'm like, no fucking way. My show, I'm going to talk to who I want to talk to. And if you think that that means I represent their views, then that's on you. So I really want to talk to people that are going out there and challenging the status quo. Like today we've got Lily Phillips on, and a lot of people say to me, why are you giving her a platform? But last week, I had Lila Micklethwait on, and she is an activist against online exploitation. She is the woman that is solely responsible for making Pornhub bring down 91% of its content, right? And I spoke to her at length of the dangers of our children, dangers of online exploitation for children, sexual abuse, everything that comes with the porn industry. And it was so harrowing, right? And now I want to speak to Lily and understand her perspective inside of that. Like, does she feel guilty for changing this landscape online, for glamorising porn? Where does it stop? Have we got any boundaries? And it's only until we sit down and understand that. I want to know what's happened to Lily, right? Because she's saying she's had a really normal upbringing, no trauma or whatnot, you know, no abuse. But normally what happens with sex workers, they've had an absent male in the household, they've suffered sexual violence, they've been abused, or they've had varying degrees of trauma. And she's saying that none of this has happened to her. So I'm sitting here like, well, what on earth has happened to you then to make it okay to sleep with 101 men in a day, to tell the world about it, to be running through London with semen on her face from men, to be pretending to go into old people's home and sleeping with 90-year-old men? Like, what has got you from a young teenager to this? What has happened and shaped you to think that's okay? And the more I sit here and think about it, guys, the more I think it's social media and the internet, like the influence it has on our children's lives. It is shaping our relationships beyond recognition. It is telling children that this is real intimacy. You know, watching women be objectified on Pornhub, and the sexual violence is rising. And also, did you know, at the moment, the amount of virgins has gone from 36% or something to 71%. I'll check the stat, because people don't feel the need to have sex early on. Why? because they're getting their sexual needs met through porn. And none of this is real intimacy, you know? They're basically having a relationship with a computer. So I think it's not until we start to tackle these topics that I know are going to make people feel uncomfortable, start bringing them to the light, that then we can start to cure it, if you know what I mean. So for me, this show has always been about understanding people's driving forces that are really just shaping their destinations. And I think we're living in a world where we're being so influenced all of the time, you know, from the minute we wake up, we're being told how we should think, how we should act, who we should vote for. And I want to step it back and start doing the unprogramming of the world and start having real conversations, not just seeing the world as we're told it is through the news, really understanding the world and what's happening in it, and just important subjects. So as the show's grown and evolved, I guess I've grown and evolved too. So it's actually made me even more curious to speak to some of these extreme people. So the thing is about getting there, right? It's not the there. It's the getting, it's the journey that matters, and it's the journey that I want to talk to people about, and I want to understand their perspective, because perspective is everything. So I'm hoping that it will help people understand their journey as well. But can I just say, this hasn't come without backlash. Speaking to out there, extreme, whatever you want to call them, people that are challenging the status quo, that has come with a huge amount of backlash. I've had hugely successful people want to come on this show, and then their agent has sent an email to my agent and said, unfortunately, she spoke to Katie Hopkins or whoever, their audience wouldn't be happy with that. And for me, you are signifying the exact problem in the world, that we can't have a conversation anymore. We are all being programmed to believe that we must act a certain way, we must vote a certain way. We forget that there is beauty in diversity. We forget that there's a left and a right for a reason. And everyone becomes so angry if they're not on the same side. And I feel like we're living in a world where it's completely polarised. And I think COVID did that as well, you know. I think COVID was really responsible for polarising people between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. And I knew when I did the Katie thing, the live show I should say rather, that it would come with backlash. I suppose I didn't really understand. I did understand how much, because they were protesting outside, you know, they emailed the Metropolitan Police, they had a riot outside the event, they were even campaigning against climate change and blaming her for it. It was so bizarre, and most people would have crumbled under the pressure, but I think unless we stand up and be counted and allow ourselves the ability to just be able to have a conversation, where have the days gone where we used to be able to have a conversation, disagree, and not kill each other? Do you know what I mean? It feels like we can't celebrate that anymore. And I understand why people are so frightened to have these conversations, because I've got other people who are in this space. I interviewed one recently, and she said to me, oh my God, I'm obsessed with what you interviewed this person, blah, blah, blah. My followers started on me for just following her. I was like, oh my goodness. So what I'm starting to do with the show, which I hope my viewers will find interesting, is to having the adjacent views next to each other. So for example, Lila's going out on Monday, which is the lady who's brought down Pornhub. Oh my God, she is a personal hero of mine. And then Lily's gonna go out the following week. And then I'm starting to do these solo episodes where I can take away the information that I've learned and share it with my followers. And I'm hoping they'll enjoy this journey with me too.